Have you ever felt the shift the moment you stop being easy to manipulate? Something changes. The people who once praised you now seem distant. Their smiles fade, their words grow sharper, and their support turns into silence. But why? Here's a truth most never realize. When people can't control you, they won't simply let go. Instead, they'll try to break you. They'll guilt trip you, twist your words, and plant seeds of doubt. Not because you're wrong, but because they're losing power over you. Stoicism teaches us that true strength isn't found in controlling others. It's in refusing to be controlled. But are you truly free? Or are you still reacting to their subtle manipulations without realizing it? Marcus was a man who walked his own path. He set boundaries, spoke his truth, and refused to compromise his values. But instead of earning respect, he faced resistance. Friends turned cold, colleagues whispered, and even family questioned his choices. At first, he doubted himself, until he realized the truth. Their discomfort wasn't a reflection of his failure, but of their fear. When you refuse to be controlled, you expose the weakness in those who depend on your submission, and that makes them uncomfortable. So ask yourself, will you let their resistance shake you, or will you stand firm in your path? Because here's the ultimate test of true independence. When they can't control you, they will try to make you doubt yourself. Don't fall for it. Stay strong, stay free, and let your actions speak louder than their expectations. If this message resonates with you, drop a comment with "I choose freedom" and subscribe for more insights on self-mastery. Let's begin. Number 1, they try to manipulate you. What happens when people realize they can't control you? They don't accept it. They adapt. Instead of direct control, they turn to manipulation, subtle yet powerful. Some people thrive on control. It makes them feel important and secure. But when they see you standing firm, thinking for yourself, and refusing to bend to their will, they shift tactics. They won't force you. They'll make you force yourself. They guilt trip you. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? They flatter you. You're so good at this. I don't know what I'd do without you. They play the victim, create urgency, twist your words, anything to make you second-guess yourself and surrender to their influence. And here's the truth. This isn't about care, respect, or fairness. It's about keeping you under control without making it obvious. Once you see this, their tactics lose their grip on you. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. True power isn't in controlling others, it's in controlling yourself. Manipulators don't seek logic, they seek reaction. They thrive on guilt, fear, and doubt. The moment you engage emotionally, they win. But what happens if you don't react? If you stay calm, observe, and refuse to be drawn into their game, they lose. Think of manipulation like a chess game. Every move they make is designed to pressure you, to put you in check, to provoke a response. But the strongest player isn't the one who fights every move. It's the one who sees the game for what it is and refuses to play. I once knew someone who had a way of twisting every situation in their favor. One day they asked for a favor, something I wasn't comfortable doing. When I politely declined, they sighed and said, "Wow, I thought we were closer than that." Instantly, I felt it. The guilt, the urge to justify myself. But then I paused. Instead of defending my decision, I simply smiled and said, "I know what you're doing." That one sentence changed everything. Their face shifted. They stammered, laughed awkwardly, and tried to brush it off. But their power had vanished. That was the last time they tried to manipulate me. So how do you deal with manipulators? First, recognize their tactics. If someone makes you feel guilty, pressured, or obligated, ask yourself, is this a request or is this manipulation? Second, stay calm and firm. The less emotion you show, the less control they have. Finally, refuse to play their game. You don't need to explain, argue, or prove anything. Simply say no and move on. At the end of the day, manipulation only works if you engage with it. The moment you stop reacting, stop explaining, and stop feeling responsible for their emotions, they lose control. Master yourself. Hold your ground. Because in the end, the only power they have is the power you give them. Number 2, they spread lies about you. When people realize they can't control you, they don't admit defeat, they switch tactics. One of the lowest tactics they use is spreading lies. Instead of confronting you directly, they twist the truth, create false narratives, and try to turn others against you. Why? Because they know they can't manipulate you, so they attack something else, your reputation. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't about truth, it's about control. Weak people don't rely on facts. They rely on gossip, exaggerations, and deception. They want to make you panic, to force you into defending yourself, to drag you into their chaos. Because the moment you react, they win. They've pulled you into their game. But real power lies in not reacting. Imagine someone throwing mud at you. If you start flinging mud back, all you do is get messier. But if you stand firm, let the mud dry, and brush it off, you walk away clean. That's how false rumors work. The more you fight them, the more you spread the mess. But if you remain steady, the lies eventually crumble under their own weight. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are unaffected by what is said, you have already won." Think about that. Your silence is your victory. The moment you stop caring about their words, you strip them of their power, because the truth doesn't need to be defended. It stands on its own. I remember a time when someone deliberately spread false rumors about me. At first, my instinct was to fight back, to correct every lie. But then I stopped. Instead of reacting, I chose to be exactly who I am, letting my actions prove the truth. And you know what happened? The lies lost their power. The more I ignored them, the clearer the truth became. People started seeing through the deception, and in the end, the person spreading the lies exposed themselves. Because falsehoods have a short lifespan, but the truth endures. So how do you deal with people like this? 1. Don't engage. The moment you argue, you validate their lies by giving them attention. 2. Let your character speak for itself. Truth proves itself over time. It doesn't need constant defense. 3. Remember this. Those who spread lies reveal more about themselves than they do about you. At the end of the day, false words have no real weight unless you give them power. Stand firm, stay silent, and watch as the truth rises to the surface. Because those who rely on deception always lose in the end. Number 3, they play the victim. When people realize they can't control you, they don't always fight you directly. Instead, they switch to one of the most manipulative tactics of all. They play the victim. Rather than taking responsibility for their actions, they rewrite the story, cast themselves as the innocent one, and seek sympathy from others. Why? Because if they can't control you, they'll try to control how others see you. Here's the truth. Playing the victim is rarely about justice. It's about avoiding accountability. These people twist facts, exaggerate situations, and paint themselves as helpless, all to gain validation. And the more you try to explain yourself, the worse it gets. Suddenly, you look like the aggressor while they sit back and soak in the sympathy. Imagine someone putting on an Oscar-worthy performance, pretending to be the innocent party while making you the villain. If you step on stage and argue, you become part of the act. But if you refuse to engage, the audience eventually sees the truth. That's the secret. People who fake victimhood rely on reactions, don't give them one. Epictetus once said, "A wise man does not allow others to dictate his emotions." That's the key, emotional control. The moment you let their performance affect you, they win. But if you stay calm, detached, and let time reveal the truth, you take away their power. I remember dealing with someone who played the victim every time they were confronted. One day, after repeatedly crossing a boundary, I finally stood up for myself. But instead of apologizing, they acted shocked, twisted the situation, and told others I had attacked them. Suddenly, I was the bad guy. At first, I wanted to defend myself, to prove my side. But then I stopped. Instead of arguing, I let my actions speak. I didn't explain. I didn't fight. I didn't play their game. And you know what happened? People started seeing the truth on their own. Because no matter how much someone plays the victim, lies always unravel, and real character always shines through. So how do you handle people like this? 1. Don't engage. The more you argue, the guiltier you look in their story. 2. Let their actions expose them. The more they lie, the more obvious it becomes. 3. Protect your energy. You don't need to prove anything. The truth doesn't need a defense, it surfaces on its own. At the end of the day, manipulators use victimhood as a weapon, but only if you give them an audience. The best response? Stay calm, stay quiet, and let reality do the talking. Because in the end, the truth always outlasts the performance. Number 4, they try to isolate you. When people realize they can't control you, they don't always attack you directly. Instead, they work behind the scenes, planting doubts, twisting stories, and turning friends, colleagues, even family against you. Why? Because they fear your independence. If you have strong relationships, if you're surrounded by people who support you, they can't manipulate you. So their goal is simple: cut you off, make you feel alone, and weaken your defenses. Here's the truth. Isolation is a weapon of the weak. People who thrive on control can't stand when you think for yourself. So they create divisions, spread rumors, and subtly poison the minds of those around you. Their aim is to make you question who you can trust, doubt your own worth, and ultimately become dependent on them. Because the more isolated you feel, the easier you are to control. Think of it like a wolf pack in the wild. Predators don't attack when their target is surrounded. Instead, they isolate their prey first, separating it from the group and making it vulnerable. Manipulators do the exact same thing. They don't strike when you're surrounded by strong allies. Instead, they create tension, conflict, and misunderstandings to pull you away from those who support you. But here's where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "Associate only with those who improve you. Avoid those who would pull you down." That's the key. Surround yourself with people who strengthen you, not those who divide and manipulate. Over time, real friends will see through the lies. And those who turn against you, they were never meant to stay. I once knew someone who slowly tried to turn people against me. It started small, subtle comments. "I don't know if you can really trust them." Then came the exaggerations, the twisting of my words. At first I was frustrated, tempted to confront them. But then I realized, the more I fought back, the more power I gave them. So instead, I focused on what mattered, strengthening my real connections. I stayed consistent in my actions. I let my character speak louder than their words. And guess what? Over time, people started seeing the truth on their own. The ones who mattered stayed, and the ones who believed the lies, they were never my people to begin with. So how do you handle people like this? 1. Stay calm. The more you react, the more fuel you give them. 2. Nurture real connections. The people who truly know you won't be fooled for long. 3. Don't chase those who turn away. If someone is easily swayed against you, let them go. At the end of the day, those who fear your independence will try to isolate you, but they can't break what is unshaken. Stay strong, stay connected, and remember, real relationships don't fall apart because of someone else's lies. Number 5, they challenge your confidence. Some people won't try to control you directly. Instead, they use a subtle but dangerous tactic. They challenge your confidence. They won't openly attack you, but they'll plant seeds of doubt. They'll question your decisions, make you second-guess yourself, and subtly undermine your abilities. Why? Because if they can make you doubt yourself, they regain power over you. Here's the truth. People who constantly question your confidence aren't offering helpful advice or constructive criticism. They're testing your self-belief. They want you to hesitate, to seek their validation, to become uncertain about your own choices. Because the more unsure you are, the easier you are to influence. Think of it like crossing a bridge. At first, you know the bridge is strong, but imagine someone standing nearby, whispering, "Are you sure that bridge can hold you?" What if it collapses? The more they talk, the more you start questioning yourself. Not because the bridge is weak, but because they made you doubt it. That's exactly how confidence works. Your judgment is solid, but manipulators shake it on purpose. The trick? Recognize what they're doing and keep walking. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus once said, "A person's worth is not determined by external approval. True confidence doesn't come from others agreeing with you. It comes from trusting yourself." The moment you stop seeking validation and stand by your decisions, you become unshakable. I remember a time when someone constantly questioned my choices. Every decision I made, they'd raise an eyebrow and say, "Are you sure? That seems risky." At first, I explained myself. I justified my decisions, trying to prove I was right. But then I realized they weren't questioning me because they knew better. They were doing it to make me unsure. So one day I stopped explaining. I simply said, "Yes, I'm sure." That was it. No justification, no debate. And you know what? They had nothing left to say, because confidence doesn't argue, it stands firm. So how do you handle people like this? First, trust yourself. If you made a decision based on reason and experience, don't let someone else's doubt shake you. Second, stop over-explaining. The more you justify yourself, the more they'll poke holes in your confidence. And finally, remember, doubt is their tool, not your truth. Just because someone questions you doesn't mean you're wrong. At the end of the day, your confidence is your power. People will challenge it, test it, and try to weaken it, but only if you let them. Stand firm, trust yourself, and never let anyone else's doubts become your own. Number 6, they provoke you emotionally. When someone realizes they can't control you with logic or manipulation, they turn to one of the oldest tricks in the book, provoking you emotionally. They'll say things designed to insult, frustrate, or enrage you, not because they care about the argument, but because they want to see you lose control. The moment you react emotionally, they win. Here's the truth. They want you to explode so they can claim the moral high ground. They'll mock you, twist your words, and push your buttons. And the second you snap, they'll step back and say, "See? I told you they were irrational." Suddenly you become the bad guy, and they walk away looking like the victim. Think of it like fire and wind. Your emotions are the flame. They are the wind. The more you react, the bigger the fire grows. But what happens when the wind has nothing to feed? The fire dies out. That's why staying calm is your most powerful weapon. If they can't make you explode, they have nothing left to use against you. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That's the key, refusing to react the way they expect. When you stay calm in the face of provocation, you rob them of their power. You remain in control, and they walk away frustrated instead of victorious. I remember a time when someone tried to bait me into an argument. They threw insults, exaggerated situations, and even brought up past mistakes, anything to get a reaction. I could feel the anger rising, but instead of snapping, I just smiled and said, "Interesting perspective, nothing more." No defense, no explanation. And you know what happened? They froze. They didn't know what to do because they were expecting a fight. That's when I realized staying calm isn't weakness, it's power. So how do you handle people like this? First, recognize the game. If someone is deliberately provoking you, pause and ask yourself, do they want a real conversation or just a reaction? Second, control your response. If you feel emotions rising, take a breath before speaking. And finally, walk away from unnecessary battles. Not every argument is worth your energy. Some fights are won simply by refusing to engage. At the end of the day, your emotions belong to you. If someone tries to provoke you, stay calm, stay detached, and let them burn themselves out. Because in the end, the strongest person in the room is always the one who refuses to be controlled. Number 7, they copy you. One of the strangest and most revealing tactics people use when they can't control you is copying you. At first, it might seem like a coincidence. You take a bold step, they follow. You introduce a new idea, suddenly they act like they thought of it first. Then you realize they're not competing anymore. They're imitating. Here's the truth. If they can't defeat you, they'll try to become you. Instead of forging their own path, they mimic yours, hoping to absorb your success without putting in the effort. But here's the catch. No matter how much they copy, they'll always be a step behind. Think of it like a shadow in the sun. A shadow moves when the light moves, but it can never create its own glow. That's what imitation is, a lifeless reflection of something real. No matter how much they try to act like you, they can never replace what makes you unique. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "Character, not imitation, defines a person." Your true value isn't in what you do, it's in who you are. Someone can copy your words, your style, even your ideas, but they can never copy your mind, your experiences, or your authenticity. I remember someone who copied almost everything I did. Every time I made progress, they followed the same steps. If I took on a new challenge, they suddenly became interested in the same thing. At first, it was frustrating. It felt like my work was being stolen. But then I realized something. The more they copied, the more obvious it became that they had nothing of their own. So one day I switched things up. I changed my approach completely. And guess what? They had no idea what to do. That's when I learned imitation isn't flattery, it's proof that you're ahead. So how do you handle people like this? First, stop worrying about them. The fact that they're copying you means they're already behind. Second, keep evolving. The more you grow, the harder it becomes for them to keep up. And finally, remember this. They copy because they lack the confidence to be themselves. At the end of the day, copies fade, but originality lasts forever. Keep being yourself. Keep leading. And let the imitators struggle to keep up, because no one can replace what makes you. Number 8, they wait for you to fail. Some people don't support you, they just pretend to. They smile, nod at your ambitions, and say, "I'm happy for you." But deep down, they're not waiting for you to rise. They're waiting for you to fall. Why? Because your success challenges them. It reminds them of their own stagnation. And if they can't surpass you, they'd rather see you lose. They don't clap because they believe in you. They clap because they're waiting for the moment you stumble. But here's where they fail. Real success doesn't depend on their approval. Think of it like a storm in a tree. A weak tree bends under strong winds, but a deeply rooted tree stands firm no matter how much the storm rages. Those hoping for your failure are like the wind. They make noise, they push against you, but they can't break you unless you let them. Epictetus once said, "Do not waste energy on those who hope for your downfall." Your focus should be on growth, not on proving people wrong. I once had someone who acted supportive, but always made small, doubtful comments. When I faced a setback, they were quick to say, "See, I told you this wasn't easy." That's when I knew. They were never rooting for me. They were just waiting for me to fail. So what did I do? I stopped explaining, stopped seeking validation, and focused on my journey. And when I succeeded, their silence was louder than their fake support ever was. At the end of the day, some people wait for your failure like it's entertainment. Don't give them the satisfaction. Succeed anyway. Keep moving forward. Keep evolving. Because nothing unsettles them more than watching you rise when they swore you'd fall. At the end of the day, some people don't want to see you succeed. They want to see you doubt yourself, give up, or break under pressure. Don't give them that victory. Stay strong, stay focused, and let your success speak louder than their expectations. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment with "Stand Your Ground" and let me know which part hit home the most. And if you found value in this, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a new insight. The path of self-mastery isn't easy, but it's worth it. And in the next video, we'll dive even deeper into how to stay unshakable no matter what life throws at you. Your journey is yours. Own it. See you soon.